It's hard to believe it's been 9 years between editions of the British Railway stories, and upon reading book number 2, Great Western Glory, it's amazing to think that its predecessor seemed so primitive by comparison. Following on from introducing us to the concept of the BRWS in Tale of the Unnamed Engine, Simon A.C. Martin's follow-up takes a bold departure for the series. Previous installments have proudly set themselves in former London and North Eastern Railway surroundings, and the first book re-established the characters of Stephen, Alan and Sir Ralph to the book's main protagonist, young Stanley. However, here we are taken from the east to the west with a whole new set of characters never before seen on YouTube or in the first book. Here, Stanley meets an abandoned GWR Star Class number 4059 Princess Patricia at a disused station somewhere out in the sticks. While both are taken aback by each other's first impressions, Princess, as she's referred to, tells young Stanley about various events that she witnessed during the Second World War. The book reads out like a series of connected novellas with overlapping characters. Each one highlights different aspects and events within the war, often dramatizing real-life events rather than taking inspiration from them and adapting them into fictitious alterations. But what sets this book apart from its predecessor is the tone. While Tale of the Unnamed Engine demonstrated little conflict and focused more on world building, Great Western Glory takes bold moves in capturing the angst and tension of war. The worst thing to happen in the last outing was a slight derailment. This time, there's a body count. Though considering the legacy of Gatwall's saga in the original YouTube series, it's hardly surprising that the BRWS is prepared to take risks when the story demands it. The highlight story for me was the dramatising of the Norton Fitzwarren crash of 1940, where King number 6028 King George VI derailed at some catch points, killing 27 people and injuring more than 70. Although there was more than one cause for the accident, driver Percy Stacey carried the blame to his grave, and, perhaps out of respect to his family, Martin has empathised his involvement, reminding readers that Stacey's home had been destroyed in the London Blitz the previous night. This goes to prove Great Western Glory doesn't just stop at focusing stories on the engine characters alone. Humans get equal spotlight attention when shining a light on the Home Guard, the RAF, and the relationship between soldiers, railway workers, and prisoners of war. There are some great morals in these stories too, that you can do everything right and still lose, or that you can be on opposite sides in someone else's war and still be on mutual terms without being traitorous. Perhaps not things people would like to hear, but things they may need or deserve to hear. Stories are one thing, but half of the BRWS's signature is the illustrations. Dean Walker returns once again to deliver arguably some of his finest work yet. This time, it's not just pictures of brightly coloured steam trains against drab-looking backgrounds, but every human, engine, time frame, and even airborne dogfight between the RAF and the Luftwaffe are beautifully atmospheric. The genius is that you can tell the difference in shading and detail between these and the illustrations in Tale of the Unnamed Engine from 9 years before, but still recognise them as the same art style. Continuing with tradition, the final part of the book expands on the technical details of the featured locomotives and railway terminology. The only complaint being that while the Star, Castle and King classes are all expanded upon, the bullied Battle of Britain Pacific featured in one of the stories doesn't get the same analysis. Although some people may argue comparisons with the Churchwood 4700 also featured, i.e. incidental to the story but not critical to it. I'll try not to spoil the ending, but one could maybe express mixed feelings over it. On the one hand, it is very satisfying, but on the other hand, it seems a little bit off. Considering the only star in preservation isn't one featured in the book, the outcome seems a touch hard to believe. Yes, the BRWS is a work of fiction, but while so much of it is grounded in reality, people well acquainted with railway history and preservation may find some of the fictional elements a touch jarring on first impression. That being said, it seems to trust readers to decide which elements are real and which ones are made up by not simply pointing them out. Great Western Glory is literally a world apart from Tale of the Unnamed Engine, or any other BRWS installment for that matter. It demonstrates more self-confidence, the illustrations literally jump off the pages, and readers can take away important life lessons without feeling put off by any sense of preaching. If you thought Tale of the Unnamed Engine was too tame and flat, this more than makes up for it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you liked what you hear and you'd like to see more on the channel, then feel free to like, share, subscribe, discuss, contribute to my Patreon, and check out my range of merchandise at www.egmedia.co.uk/shop. See you next time.